was, down below freezing, and so guys kind of got out early in the morning and got what they could, harvest-wise. So, but it's been nice.
Good. Yeah. Mom and Dad are out there at the Peoria Farm Show this week out in Illinois. They're, I think, heading your way tomorrow to stay over the weekend, right?
That's right. Yeah, they're on their way from Peoria Farm Show. Sound like that show was pretty darn good. I mean, talking to your dad and everything, I mean, maybe not a lot of people, but the people that were there were definitely interested in certain specific things, nutrient placement and planter attachments and different things. So, yeah, kind of excited. It seemed to turn out pretty good.
Correct. Yeah, the way it sounds, guys are getting geared up and ready to talk planters. A lot of cover crops being talked about out there as well. So I heard it was a pretty good show, and hopefully, that was the first show for us for this year. So next we go to Indianapolis Farm Show mid-December, and then Fort Wayne National No-Till Conference, National Farm Machinery Show, and you'll be joining us at a few of them as well.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, well, let's jump in here. Today, guys, we're going to talk about planter setups for soybean seeding success. I feel like talking soybean planters and how to set those up has really evolved over the years, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But I think it's something that doesn't get looked at real hard. Don't you agree, Jeff?
Soybeans, we've always been kind of, throw them out there, they'll grow, some soybeans are grow in the back of a pickup truck. But, what we see, obviously, the price of seed has gone up, and so we need to be more accurate and making sure our populations and everything are correct.
Yep. Yeah, and there's, a lot of things from, talking about lowering populations. Beck does a lot of studies there. The next slide, we're going to see a Beck study that you and I are both pretty familiar with, and that's that closing wheel study. But there's a lot of things, we're paying more attention to soybeans more and more today, and some small things on planter setups can create huge dividends come harvest time.
Big time. I mean, from clean seed bed to seed to soil contact, beans really react to those two things.
Yep. And really, it's just getting those things out of the ground. If we can plant 140,000 beans per acre and harvest 110 of them, or 90 or 100, that's pretty efficient rather than planting 180 and only harvesting 110.
Exactly. That's
we
right.
need to close that gap, and that's where some of these planter attachments come in. I'm going to play this video here. I can't say enough about this video and what Bex does and what this video shows. I hope it's going to show up and play for everyone to hear it. But if you can't hear it, which I know I cannot, but basically what we do here is, I'll fast forward to the numbers, but Bex did a study down at London, Ohio that Yetter was a part of. And what we did is we compared poly spike closing wheels of Yetters to factory rubber and factory cast iron closing wheels to see how they would play in emergence. And Jared Chester is there with me in this video, and we did stand counts based on what we saw in the field with those different closing wheels. And with the poly spikes, Jeff, we saw tremendous increases in emerged seeds. Right here's the numbers: 127,000 plants per acre with the Yetter poly spikes that emerged, and 110,000 with factory rubber closing wheels. That's 17,000 more plants per acre.
Right.
I mean, this video. Right,
I mean, 6 bushel versus rubber closing wheels. It's a slam dunk.
Yes. We talk closing wheels on corn planters all the time, but I really think that your initial first bang for your buck on any soybean planter, 1790, 3660, you put Yetter poly spikes on there, I can guarantee you can cut your population by 10,000.
Right.
Instantly.
And so the dollars just start adding up.
Correct. And you can see this was in a no-till scenario. Mostly. They hit this in the fall with vertical tillage tool. You can see all the residue laying here. They had row cleaners on the planter, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit as well. But if we fast forward this video to the plant health and the plant vigor, you could see the differences in the roots between the poly spike and the factory rubber and what they were doing there. There's
right.
Look at all those roots on they're straight down on the poly spike closing wheel. The main taproot is, and then they're branched out from there. On the factory rubber, you've got corkscrews. That's from the compaction. And it's hard to tell in these pictures, but you could visually walk up to the rows in this field and find which ones had the Yetter poly spikes on them.
Yeah.
We've seen this test over and over again. I think, are the poly spikes now PFR proven, Jeff?
They are. Yeah, they are. In our new catalog, we put the stamp on, PFR proven basically. But yeah, they've went 3 years, I think, is what they, talk about as far as has to go to show a positive gain anyway.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a lot about the closing wheels. Really over the next few months, selling to guys and talking to them. But if you guys get anything out of this webinar tonight, it is number one, if you need to make an investment in your bean planter, put poly spike closing wheels on there. You will see a significant difference when you're planting your soybeans and when they emerge. Am I correct?
That's right. And that's exactly. And we make it easy, economical, because, we've got the rings that if a customer wants to just use the ring, take the rubber out and use his wheel halves, that's pretty economical, or we can do the complete wheel. So it's worth it.
Yep. Definitely. I mean, we're compatible with factory rubber closing wheels. We can utilize those bearings and outer halves. So Yetter's made that pretty easy for you guys. So I wanted to start off the webinar with that because that's the main kind of topic or the biggest influence that we've seen over the years. Of course, going from a controlled spill drill to singulating soybeans, which we'll talk about. Of course, that was huge. But today, things like the closing wheels make big differences. But there's a lot of struggles when you plant soybeans. We used to whip out the 15-foot drills and just plant, and there might be some 2 inches deep. There might be some 2 inches above the ground. Hard saying where they would land, but it starts in the fall with the Yetter Devastator, which I think I've got a slide right here. Managing that residue, especially if you're a no-till guy. Jeff, do you have many guys talking Devastators to help return nutrients to the soil for soybean yields the following year?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, guys that have we've had the Devastator now 7 years, and we have growers that's been using them for all 7 years, and dramatically changes is what they see as far as the breakdown and that nutrient getting into the soil quicker. And especially with soybeans too, planting and Devastator wise, we don't have those porcupines sticking up of the old stalk. A lot of guys, when we go cutting beans, a lot of that old stalk is still even, when it's time to harvest. And so that's another big plus that we see with the Devastator and, no-tilling beans basically.
Yeah. So, a lot of guys, to be most efficient with planting soybeans, they'll plant right into this corn residue. And with the Devastator, a lot of that gets broken down over the winter. With some row cleaners, you can move it out of the way. But these tools, Devastator, closing wheels, and row cleaners, allow us to go into some of those conditions that we would never dream of in the past to be most efficient with our soybean yields and still raise 60, 70 bushel beans in the fall.
Right. I think the Devastator, it decreases our risk we're going to get more consistent stands. We're going to get more consistent temperatures. I mean, we're getting more consistency through all the acres, you know. It's just a very good return on investment.
Correct. So as we go down through this list, managing seeding versus harvest populations, that's what I talked about earlier. You know, we want to plant 120,000 and we want to harvest 95 to 100 of that. We want to be that efficient with our soybeans. You know, with row cleaners, devastators, and closing wheels, there's no reason why we can't do that. The name of the game in soybeans, and to get that planting to harvest ratio, is soybean emergence. How can we get all those soybeans that we planted to come up? Residue flow on narrow row planters, you know, 1790s, 3660s. We'll talk about that. But these are, wouldn't you say, Jeff, a lot of these are the big struggles you hear about?
Oh yeah, I mean, and I know we're headed that way, but we've been, no-till coulter on every row. You know, it's kind of where we always started, and now the number of narrow row cleaners we're putting on 15-inch rows, 20-inch is huge, because guys see the difference when we just can clear that residue, because our no-till coulter still hairpins some residue. I mean, it's inevitable that it's going to happen, and so and plus the depth of the row unit, the no-till coulter will compromise that as well. So putting the row cleaners on just gives us, a beautiful, even emergence. Every seed is coming, basically.
Correct. Yep. And we'll fast forward here a little bit to.
I'm not seeing anything on my side. I don't know if everybody else is, but you're still kind of on the first slide as far as what I'm seeing.
Oh, no kidding. Huh. Okay, let's try this again.
There you go. Now you're on.
You saw it?
Yep, I see the video is what's up right now. The video we talked about first.
I must be a little behind here because, okay, there we go. Okay, so there. What can you see now?
Still on the video.
Huh.
There you changed. Now you're changing. Must have on every bean planter.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see that now, Devastator?
Yep.
Okay.
Now you got
it. We'll just leave it right here. So let's go down here. You know, when we kept talking row cleaners, I want to show these guys what we're talking about when we talk row cleaners. You know, here's the Yetter shark tooth with floaters. This row cleaner can float up and down. The shark tooth is designed to aggressively grab that corn residue, move it out of the way. Here's a bean planter we set up a couple years ago, 15-inch row bean planter with row cleaners. This customer goes into corn that had been vertical tilled in fall, and the row cleaners move that residue so that the seed is put into a clean planting furrow, and then it is zipped shut with the Yetter poly-spike closing wheel. Here's another slide of 15-inch planters with row cleaners. Jeff, why don't you walk us through this? Guys are always wanting to know, won't that back rank throw residue onto the front rank?
Well, the narrow, I mean, the two different row cleaners, we have the 30-inch row, and then the narrow basically just does, the pitch of the wheels just aren't as wide. So, I like to, another thing with these bean planters, when we're doing the narrow row cleaners, I like to see a narrow 3-inch gauge wheel, so then we're still throwing past, that gauge wheel with the narrow row cleaner.
Yep. And so what he means about this gauge wheel is right here is a spoked planter gauge wheel, which allows residue to flow out of there, or mud rather than get packed in. But that wheel is also available in 3-inch or the standard 4.5 width. So on these narrow planters, because we're moving the residue, but not quite as far, you may want a narrower gauge wheel so that the gauge wheel does not ride up on top of the row of residue that you just moved. Correct?
Right. That's correct. And it's not a showstopper. I mean, cleaning the row is the most important thing.
Yep.
But if really we're wanting to dot the I's and cross the T's, I mean, that's the next thing, that now our row unit is not, maybe once in a while jumping over residue. It's running a lot more, level.
Yeah. So Jeff sent me this picture here of how soybean planting used to look. We used to just throw a no-till coulter on there. We said it would work a little bit of that ground and prepare it for the soybean seeds. How has that changed today?
Yeah, that's changed quite a bit, because the row cleaner, we're showing that it doesn't, cleans the area and definitely cleans seed bed, but doesn't take any extra downforce to shove that row unit in the ground.
Correct. I talked earlier about singulating soybeans, but here's a product, the Precision Planting E sets and V sets that can very accurately, 99.5% singulation on corn and soybean seed. You want to talk about seeding with a 750 drill versus today with your 1790. Boy, you can really dial in populations and really work on that planting versus harvest ratio with something like this.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys going to different meters. That does play a role into how to set up a soybean planter. Now, Jeff, we can't forget about the drill guys. We still have drills out there that can plant some good soybeans.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that style of row unit, out there, going today, and these are enhancements, that we can, enhance that system to the next level, really.
Yeah, row cleaners, spike closing wheels on drill units. It basically it turns that standard drill row unit into what we can do with the planter. You can see in this picture, we're moving residue to put that soybean into a clean slot. We've got the closing wheel out the back to crumble and seal that slot back shut. Here's an example of that pretty muddy condition somewhere, but you can see he's got the residue managers mounted on the front of those disc opener row units to create a path and place that seed into clean soil.
That's a picture for 2019 right there. I mean, about every seeding unit kind of looks that way wherever you're at.
Yeah. Well, at least there's no tires below the ground in that picture.
That's right.
But I want to go back here to the must-haves on every bean planter. And we don't have to stay with this list that I made, but Jeff, if you had to tell a guy today to make a list of 4 things, what would be on that list?
Bean planter, if money wasn't an object, the row cleaners, most definitely. 15-inch rows, I want narrow gauge wheels and poly spikes at the back. I mean, those are going to be 3 things that you're going to see return on investment.
Yep. And if I had to expand on that, I would tell the guy, well, first off, he should already be running the Stalk Devastator. But if he's not, I would get the Stalk Devastator on him because that would help break down residue, return nutrients back into the soil for the following year's bean crop, save tires. So I would add Devastator to that list. But yes, you nailed it. Those are our soybean planter must-haves. I think the days of just having a no-till coulter, factory rubber closing wheels, and just no-tilling soybeans into standing corn residue that's never been touched, I think those guys are getting penalized quite a bit in yield in the 5 to 6 bushel notes.
That's right. That's exactly it.
But that's that's the gist of setting up planters, Yetter style for soybean planting. I wanted to focus on the Yetter poly spikes, the shark tooth row cleaners. There's really, like we just talked, 3 or 4 main products that are must-haves on planters. We run into this quite a bit, but it's something that guys overlook. What do we need to add to expand on this, Jeff?
As far as more, it's like you said, the Devastator's a very good start out, you might say, for soybean planting, you might say. But I mean, the poly twisters and the row cleaners, I mean, we're addressing the issues that really hamper a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's easy, poly spike closing wheels. Let's throw some figures at guys. You're probably talking, if you need the complete set, less than $200 a row. If you buy the rims, you're talking $120 a row.
Right. Correct.
And we talked that can gain you. We saw at Beck's 17,000 more plants per acre. That's stuff you can put a pencil to.
Quickly. That's right.
Row cleaners, I don't have a definitive yield number on those, but that would be pretty significant as well, being that we can. It's almost like strip tilling. You're almost strip tilling those soybeans when you put row cleaners on that planter.
Exactly. I mean, our temperature warms up more even consistently, from one end of the field to the other. We don't have so much residue shading some of the row and things of that nature. So yeah, it's all goes hand in hand as far as, the end results, you might say.
I agree.
But did you get that picture I sent of that case closing wheel? The polys on the case, our new V close wheel for the case planters.
Well, let's check this out here. I believe I did.
And I bring that up for the red guys, you might say. Just we're seeing a lot of interest, and I've sold several of these. And this will be our first year production for them, but it's the V close wheel where we take the wide packer tire off of the case planter, but keep our 2 pinch discs up there. Keep those 2 there. And then this V close wheel system then comes back there, and we can put the poly wheels on. It just
Can you see that?
No, I can't see it.
Give me a second here.
What guys have seen with it, is that a little bit of those pinch discs will bring some soil in, but those poly twisters just really finish that off as far as seed to soil contact.
Yeah.
And it's, I think it's something we're going to see increase in soybeans on the red planters of guys using that type of system. There it is.
Yep.
It's a little sideways, but that's all right.
There it is.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, you can turn your red planter closing wheel into getting the benefit of those Yetter poly spikes on soybeans. Yep. So Jeff, that's just an adapter kit that Yetter offers?
Yeah. It's just an adapter kit. I think you get the whole bracketing and the 2 poly wheels for $275 list.
Really?
So basically, we're taking that rubber tire, but in the past when we did V close wheels on case planters, we always had to take the pinch disc off. But I think this concept where we're leaving them, because those pinch discs do, bring that soil in there.
Correct.
And like I say, then the poly twisters just really finish it off. But that's something new that's coming down the pike. It's in our new literature. So, but I think it's appealing for the red guys anyway.
No doubt. And those red planters are phenomenal. Now, is that available for the 1250s and 21s?
Just the 1250 right now. We are working on the 2150s, but that just fits the 1200 series right now.
Got it. Which there's a ton of them out there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think for the most part, we covered what I wanted to cover, and it was just the basics. We go to these farm shows, and I talk to guys, and they want to know, they want to put closing wheels on their corn planter, and that's fine. I love poly spikes on corn planters, but I think the low-hanging fruit, the lowest hanging fruit, is on your bean planter, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of really small things we can do in the soybean world. Number one, cut your populations. Look at some of these studies that are out there. Plant 150, 140, 130,000. Put row cleaners on there. Put poly spikes on there, and get a tighter margin between your planted number and your harvested number. The problem is no one knows their harvested number. Very few people actually do a stand count in the fall to know how much they're harvesting. But that's a very important number. You want to know if you are harvesting 90,000 and you planted 180, that's not very efficient at all.
Right. That's exactly right. Do the math. I mean, that's the thing. Take the time, and that's where these products, will come out and shine even more, once we start really seeing and taking it all the way down.
That's correct. Because soybeans, once they're up and out of the ground, there's no side dressing soybeans. Yeah, we can do fungicide and we can do some foliars and stuff, but it's not like corn where you can kind of spoon feed that crop, which you can with soybeans, don't get me wrong. But once those things are up and out of the ground, you have a little bit less play in the soybeans.
Right. Right.
Once you're
nothing really could give them at all kick in the, nothing like corn. We can side dress or do something, give it a little shot in the arm. But soybeans, we're pretty much what's there is there. It's got to go.
Yeah, I mean there's some weather and there's some spraying and stuff that you can do to really play with them. But if you don't have the population that you need and the plant health from the beginning, you're not going to have it in the end. So I think that's all I've got for the guys. I want to push everyone to go to a farm show this winter. Go to that Indianapolis show, Fort Wayne, Louisville. If you're from far across the country, I guarantee you could run into Jeff or myself at a farm show this year. Jeff goes to Canada. We go all over. So
yep.
I want to push everyone to meet us at the farm shows. I'd love to meet everyone out there and talk soybean planters with you. So I think that's all I've got tonight, Jeff. Is there a big football game on tonight or anything?
Yeah, you happen to mention that. Yeah, sorry for the Cowboys' loss tonight, but.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so it must be the Bears and the Dallas Cowboys tonight playing.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah, a tale of two teams.
Both teams
both
6-6. That's right, 6-6. So we're even.
Well, I don't have much hope for the Cowboys anymore. We'll see what happens, but I think that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go root on the Cowboys, and hopefully I can watch the entire game without shutting it off.
Yeah, how's that deer hunting going?
Well, not so good so far. This is Ohio's gun week right now. It started on Monday, runs through Sunday. I hunted a little bit Monday, but I'm waiting for snow to fly to go after my target buck. He seems to be a lot more visible with snow on the ground.
You like that? You like that cold, snowy? You get out there, and I'm too old for that, man.
There's nothing better than snow on the ground, hunting over a food source. Hunting the rut's good. You see bucks, but nothing drives a old buck to get up on his feet better than snow and cold weather and his stomach telling him he's got to get up.
That's exactly right.
There is nothing better. You can pattern those deer like a watch.
It's kind of like us. It's supper time, isn't it?
Exactly. Yep. McDonald's is always busy morning, noon, and night.
There you go.
So, okay. Well, Jeff, I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to tonight's webinar. We look forward to doing more in the future. And go Cowboys.
There you go. We'll talk to you. See ya.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you.
Are you completely off?